Okay, hello everyone. Happy Sunday to everybody. We'd like to welcome you to episode 4 of the Keep Rochdale Affordable podcast. As always, I'm joined by my co-host and co-founder, Adena Ferretti, my wife. We're both residents here at Rochdale Village, Mitchell Cooperative in Jamaica, Queens. And Adena just wanted to have the floor to respond to some recent developments. While she does that, I'm going to be sharing out the screen to various Facebook groups and across social media so that we can build the widest audience so that as many residents as possible can join us for the discussion. So I'm going to let Adena take the floor. Before I do, just to let people know, if you want to call in, we are accepting phone calls. You got to text us at 917-678-0557. That's 917-678-0557. We are broadcasting live on YouTube and Facebook right now. So Adena, Adena's adjusting her camera. Baby, you're all over the place.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. So,
You ready?
yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, guys. John and I, thank you very much. And we're grateful that you guys are able to join us on our podcast, Making Rochdale Affordable. Thank you so much. And I am so grateful for you guys to join us because you will make us what we are now and in the future. And it also shows that you are dedicated to our platform. And thank you so much. So today we're going to be discussing. I'm sure everyone have received the bulletin from Rochdale here, and I hope everyone had had a chance to glance at it and to read it and to probably be able to ask some questions as to what's going on. Okay, so we're going to discuss the bulletin and what was in it. So both the general manager and the board of director had basically had a few points into this bulletin, and I wanted to go over at least a snippet of it. I wanted to take out a piece of it. There's a lot going on in this bulletin. We may not be able to discuss every bullet point, but there are a few choices that we took out of it that we wanted to share. But as I said, everyone should have received this bulletin by now, so you can follow along. So they were talking about basically, so we all know that the rent increase in Rochdale is going up, and it's going up extremely high. And that's our problem. It's not like, oh my God, we're so um, shocked about increase, because everything has been increased, from our light bill, our gas bill, rent, mortgages, car insurance, everything have gone up. That's not the problem. The problem is that this has gone up significantly. So that's the problem that we're having. So there's two things. One part, that the increase have gone up because of inflation, and the other part, which, no, this other part here that I'm about to talk about, don't matter how much you try to explain it away as to how this happened, you cannot explain it away. You cannot explain the water bill, no matter how much you try. You cannot explain the welfare alone, no matter how much you try. It is, you cannot explain away the people not paying rent, no matter how much you try. It's just a little bit elevated, and that's what the issue is. That these numbers are so elevated, and why? So the question is, why are these numbers so high? And also, why are we, the residents, have to carry this burden? So remember, two parts to it. Inflation is going up, and yeah, we understand the rent is going to be increased. So we're used to our 2.7%, 3%, 4%. But when it comes to 44% and 22%, the double numbers, that's when we're having a problem. And as I said, no matter how hard you try to explain that, it is hard to explain. And one of the reasons why it's so hard to explain is, once you start telling half truth and giving misinformation, that's why I'm telling you that it's hard to explain, because of, number one, the half truth and the misinformation. And I'm going to give you an example of half truth. On one of the meeting that I think it was Jean Hall. I'm not sure if it was her podcast, but one of the podcasts that the board of directors had. And they were talking about the program that older people get, that
Agreed.
they're able screen, yeah, yeah, that they get that, they could freeze their rent. And they kept saying, oh, all you have to do is go down there and point it out for a whole entire hour. And when I got a chance to talk, I'm like, why don't you just tell the people that if you make over $50,000 a year, I think it's $50,000 a year, not the
Yeah.
exact number, 50,000,
50,000.
huh?
If you make more than $50,000, you're not eligible.
You're not eligible.
Same thing
So
for disabled people. Tree. Same thing.
yeah, yeah. So you're telling the half truth. Just tell them, look, if you are making over a certain amount of money, you're not going to be eligible. But you just make it seem that every elderly person that have retired or anybody that's retired, they can just jump down there and they just get this. And oh my God, no matter how much they make, their rent is going to be freeze. And that's what I'm talking about, half truth. And when these people go down there and they find out the truth, then they get upset. So that's just one of the information or something that I'm trying to get across about half truth. And once someone realized that you're telling half truth, they said to themselves, this person is a liar. And they're trying to break up the fabric of Rochdale. And that's what happened. And that's
So
what happened. Okay. John and I just started this. So there's no way we can come in here and break up the fabric of Rochdale. The house was already on fire. There was already smoke here when we got here. So there's no way that we can come in here and say, John and I can come and say, oh, you're breaking up the fabric of Rochdale, and I've been here for 500 years, and I am not going to let this happen. Okay? We just got here. The house was on fire. A lot of people, a lot of the residents that I hear, they said, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to go on board of director so I can get the management company out. Then when they get into office, they start to sing kumbaya with the management company. I've heard, oh, be respectful of
Jay
be
Williams feelings.
yeah, be respectful of us raising the increase to 22%. Be respectful of that. Don't curse, don't argue. Just pay it or just stay in the corner. No one is gonna do that. People are gonna be upset about it. Okay? And no one is trying to break the fabric of Rochdale. If anybody's trying to break the fabric of Rochdale, is the people that voted for this high increase. That's who's trying to break the fabric of Rochdale. So no matter how long you've been here 500 years and you're going to protect Rochdale. I don't know how you're going to protect Rochdale.
Yeah, just following up on what Adena was pointing to. There's a section in the statement by the president of the board of directors, Jean Hall, that where she says something to the effect of, let me just pull this up. Sorry. Just going to share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, but it's very light.
Okay, I'm gonna fix it now. Let's see. Here it is. Okay. Is it any better now?
No. I think
Okay.
you just read it.
All right, I'm just going to read it off of here, but we'll post it in the comments. All right, so basically, she says that leadership is not about talking loudly, giving misinformation or misleading information. Leadership does not seek to embarrass their neighbors by posting a link that exposes them to unnecessary disclosure and pits us against each other. Rather, leadership has a vision and builds relationships, which seeks to build a winning team and an engaged community. Leadership understands and welcomes the bitter with the sweet. Leadership in our community will foster and support the best, not the divisive rhetoric that has taken hold. Leadership will not allow this community to be torn apart by anyone new or old. Leadership has a backbone. I will fight just as hard as I have in the past against those seeking to destroy the fabric and trust of this community, no matter what their intentions may be. Rest assured, I stand for community and shareholders first and always. I'm not afraid of good trouble, necessary trouble. So anyway, this is Gene Hall, the president of the board of directors. And so when she uses this kind of loaded rhetoric and she targets residents as being engaging in tearing apart the fabric of our community, then what's the difference between that and the kind of rhetoric that Donald Trump uses about targeting immigrants? Immigrants are poisoning the blood of our community. There's a reason why he uses that kind of toxic rhetoric. There's a reason why he goes there, because it whips people up to target a scapegoat. And here they are crying about, and Jay Williams is crying about how he's been made a scapegoat. No, you're not a scapegoat. You're responsible. You're responsible for your decisions and the decisions that you made that put us in a crushing debt burden. You are responsible. It's not about finding an other to scapegoat. It's about pointing to the people who have made the decisions, and their accountability, them being accountable for their decisions, is not creating a scapegoat. It is simply asking them to be accountable for their decisions, to be accountable for what they thought was a good idea. So put us in a loan deal that he lies. He straight out lies to you and says the interest rate is 4.4%. We know that's a lie. You know how we know that's a lie? Because we know they're paying $700,000 a month times 12 times 10. That's $86 million that they are paying in interest. How can you possibly tell me the interest rate is 4.4%? And you know, there's an easy way to solve this, Mr. Williams. There's an easy way to solve this, Ms. Hall. Provide us the lease. We want to see the mortgage. I want to see all the details of that mortgage. And then we'll find out who's lying and who's telling the truth. What is wrong with transparency? Why is that an unforgivable sin for a resident here who's being asked to pay anywhere from 40 to 44% increases over 2 years to ask how we got into this situation? And aside from which, they make it seem like, oh, well, we only had $50 million left over from this loan. $195 million loan, they only have $57 million left, and it's all to go to capital projects. But they don't tell you that the other part of that, the loan that they're paying off, guess who it's owed to? Wells Fargo. Guess who the loan at Co-op City is owned to? Wells Fargo. So when you give these kind of half-truths and you try to beat us in the head and you basically gaslight us to believe that these problems just aren't solvable and that nobody could have foreseen that paying 10 years worth of interest payments on a mortgage that lasts 35 years is a recipe for disaster for this community, because it's not going to have the resources for all the other things that we need.
But John,
So, yeah,
when you explain, like, basically when you explain the numbers for the Wells Fargo, you're breaking up the fabric of the community.
yeah. No, I'm being destructive by informing residents about what they agreed to. But when they don't inform you about what they've agreed to, and they allow us to get deeper and deeper and deeper into debt, that's perfectly okay. When they vote, when the good guys, the people who are for us, the jewel of Jamaica, when they vote, all of them, not one of them voted no on the increase of 22.3% in 2024 and 4.5% in 2024 and 2026. And what they don't tell you is that even if you agree to the 22.3 in 2025 and the 4.5 in 2026, that DHCR can raise it even higher, and that even if we did go with their plan, that all the debts wouldn't be paid off, and we'd still have to deal with future increases. There's no protection for us.
So that was the issue. I think basically there was two parts of it, that they went in with some calculations to HCR, and they said, look, general inflation is going up. But then HCR came up with a new plan and says, hey, you have all this back money. That's the problem. So how are you going to pay it off? So I think that's the back money that, the back water bill, the mortgage, the this, the that, whatever. That's the problem. That's the problem that they cannot explain. That's the cancer cell. That's the part that needs to be cut out. Yeah. And how do you fix that part? So that's the part that is having everybody up in an uproar. And now you It's like you're saying, oh my God, you know what? We come to you, the residents, to fix this. And the thing about it is, like, I noticed that Jean Hall, because I have to say her name, she's the one in the bulletin asking all these questions. When you were making hard decisions about what to pay and what not to pay, you didn't come and ask the residents those questions. You went ahead and did what you had to do. So please stop coming in the papers and or on. I mean, I can't tell you what to do, but it's just very frustrating that you're asking questions. Asking questions what? When they were figuring out what to pay and what not to pay to get us into this debt, nobody asked me. John, did they ask you?
No.
Oh, okay. They didn't ask John either, and
No,
no residents didn't ask nobody. They just went and did what they had to do.
and when
So
I
don't
did
ask us now.
when I did object to them getting us into a sweetheart deal with Chase, where they pay less than 2% increase every year and are paying less than a little more than $16,000 a month to rent out a 4,720 square foot retail space, they said, "Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. That's this is what the going rate is." So the going rate for parasites, for bankers who made millions and millions of dollars off of us during COVID, bankers who can't even afford to keep their ATM machines running, bankers who keep us waiting 20 and 30 minutes after we have to travel to and from work to get our money out of their bank, bankers who are feeding off our community with high interest car loan payments. The going rate for them is 2%, and that's what the market will bear. But for us, apparently, it's 44%. Apparently,
but John, they said that wasn't a predatory. That wasn't a predatorial.
Oh,
but,
no, that was the Wells Fargo loan. They said it wasn't predatory. Yeah.
Okay, but the carrying charges, what would you carry? Okay, so the 4 what was it, 4.4?
He said it's 4.4%.
Okay, so 4.4 is not what is it?
It's not predatory. It's
not predatory, right?
Normal,
but the carrying charges, which is going to be 22 or
possibly 44%.
44%. What would you call that?
Yeah, that's not predatory.
That's not predatory on the residents.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, I wish Jean Hall would have as much smoke for the management company, as much salt about, and as much hurt feelings about the fact that in your own bulletin, he is lying about you. He's calling you a liar, Jay Williams. He says in the bulletin that when people say that, let me just pull it up here. He says when people say that he says that it's false that they deferred the loan and that the Wells Fargo raised our payments 25% after the deferment was tacked on to the end of the loan. That's not what people said. What people said was that the 25% deferment was reinitiated, or they had to start making 25% higher payments as of November 2020 after that deferment was over. And that's what Jean Hall said. Okay, that's what Jean Hall said in the January 2025 Rochdale Bulletin. There's a whole section called loan deferment where she says in November 2020, Wells Fargo notified Rochdale that they were to repay $8.6 million over 24 months beginning in November 2020. The additional monthly payment would be $360,631. Our regular monthly mortgage payment is $1.4 million. Therefore, from November 20th to November 2020 to October 2022, Rochdale paid Wells Fargo $1.8 million. Management stated this was unexpected and placed a significant strain on our cash flow. So you can't have it. You can't have it both ways. You can't attack the residents for destroying the community, and then someone who is actually destroying the community and constantly lying and calling you a liar in your own newspaper, and you have no smoke for him at all. You have no concern about him destroying the fabric of our community. No concern of him willfully lying again and again and again. Yet you ran for office saying you were going to get control of the management company. And many of you ran for office saying you're going to get rid of the management company entirely because of their decades of bad decision-making, if not incompetence, if not corruption. People run for office on that platform. Then they get elected. They have a period where there are bids put forward to hire a new management company. And wouldn't you know it, there's just no one who can handle managing Rochdale. It's just amazing. It's amazing that Summit Management Company and before that, Marion Scott Real Estate are the only people in the world who know how to manage a cooperative of this size, who are prepared to meet the responsibilities. It's just amazing, isn't it? But we got no smoke for them. We're not going to hold them accountable for their decision making. Everything they do is above board. There's no conspiracies here. There's no missing money. Everything is above board, and we're all about transparency. But we have debt everywhere, and the debt never ends. And even with your plan, the debt is never going to end.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Because even I'm so sorry, John, but even if you're correct about that, because even if they do raise this money, and you need to have an end to it. So say you do 44%. When does this 44% ends? Like, when do you pay off the debt? Like, when do you pay off? This is a large sum of money that has to be paid off. And then you rest it at the door of the residents, which are feeble. We don't have money falling from the sky. We don't live in large homes in Long Island, and we don't have fancy cars and all of that. And we're just living off our little retirements or whatever little money that we have coming in. So is this a forever debt until I go into my grave? Is this like 44% is forever for me? Or is it okay, after 3 years now, then this will go away? And then I'm sure it's not gonna happen. Like, after 3-4 years, it's gonna be something else. It's gonna be a new debt.
Yeah.
That we have to pay. They're gonna come up with something new that they have to pay. And all I've read the newspaper, and I don't see anybody fighting against HCR. I don't see anybody. Oh, we forgot about the petition. We didn't get that yet, right?
Oh yeah, no, they're all upset with the residents because the residents haven't rallied to the call of their petition that they only put out on March 10th of 2025 when they knew they were in debt for years. And by the way, I'm kind of new to this. Like, I don't normally speak with politicians. I don't normally do this kind of activism. Like, I've done it in the Transit Workers Union, but on a limited basis, not where I know these people, not where I'm constantly in contact with them. But when I go to speak to them, you know what? You know what's really kind of shocking? They don't know anything about Rochdale's debt. And in fact, when they had that meeting with the politicians, the reason why they're reaching out to residents is because they can't understand how Rochdale got into this amount of debt. What they did was they handed them a binder full of their financial information and how much money.
But who are you talking about?
I'm talking about the board of directors and the management company. They handed Jemani Williams' office and others a big binder of financial records about showing how much they owed and how much upkeep and renovations need to be done on a 60-year-old set of buildings. And we need this, we need that, we need the other thing. It's kind of like the petition. Same thing, a laundry list of things we need. But there are no demands. And so the politicians are asking, so what are the demands? Where's the solution? How do we solve? What do you want from us? What is the ask? And so that's why I went to the residents and asked them, for the first time anybody asked them, what are your demands? What are your concrete demands to make this situation better? What do you want the state to do? What do you want any of these politicians to do? And so we put out a poll to get residents' feedback on that. And what do you know? The residents have no problem calling on the state to demand that the state take responsibility. The state is the landlord here. The state is responsible, and they are an absentee, deadbeat landlord. How are you going to provide an affordable housing community in the middle of New York City, which, as everybody says, prices are going up. Prices are going up everywhere, right? Well, what makes Rochdale different? Rochdale is different because it is a state overseen and supposedly funded affordable housing community. The only way it can stay affordable is if it receives funding.
That's right. I want you to say that again, John. I want you to say that the only way that Rochdale and all of these metro homes is going to stay affordable is unless the state help, because the money that is being owed is just too much. So the state has to come in and help. Just like how when the state need money, they got to go to the federal government for money to help.
Right.
So Rochdale need money from the state. So the residents don't have that kind of money to basically help with this I don't want to say it, but with the problem that's going on with the
Look, we
with
can't
the
be
fabric of the messed up business.
speaking of being tearing apart the fabric of our community, when our residents are repeatedly treated as the blood donor of choice for Wells Fargo, a racist predatory bank, does is that misinformation to say that? Okay, go look up Wells Fargo and racism. Go look it up on the internet and see how many communities of color they've targeted for
But
predatory loans.
what misinformation is being spread?
Yeah,
Because they're saying that I think it's John, I think it's you they're talking about.
which one? Which what about?
The whole thing here in
Almost the whole
Rochdale.
thing. Yeah,
Because they said something about sweetheart deal, and I think you're the only one that be saying sweetheart deal.
yeah.
Predatorial. You use those words, and these words just landed in here. So it makes me think that they were talking about you. Sorry.
Well, yeah. I mean, they've been talking about me, haven't they? I mean, let me just bring up for a second a screenshot here of what your board members are doing in the middle of the March 10th special meeting when they're sitting right next to the general manager of the management company when he is lying 24/7 and shifting the goalposts and beating our residents in the head. They're sitting right next to him, and this is what they're doing. So let me just share my screen. Okay. Cancel. All right. Can you see that?
Yes, a little.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to make it bigger. Okay. So this is Cody Hamblin, one of your one of your members of the board of directors who was not
Okay, I
elected.
hear a lot of noise.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but there's a lot of noise.
All right. So this is Cody Hamblin, the one of your board of directors. This is what he's doing when we're having a meeting to discuss the future of Rochdale and the crisis that we're all facing in terms of the financial crisis. This is what he has time to do while we're debating the future of this community and whether it will remain affordable, whether the current residents will be forced out of this community by a predatory racist bank, whether we can continue to treat our residents as the blood donor of choice for these parasites and for a management company that has no accountability at all for what they've done to this community. But this is what he has time to be doing on Facebook. In the Real Deal Rochdale, no less, a Facebook page specifically for Rochdale residents to be able to be heard about their community or to share things about their community. This is what he has the time to share. So are we the ones with the messed up priorities? Are we the ones that are destructive? Or are the people who are elected and in a position of power to make decisions to safeguard this community against the affordability crisis?
Okay, John.
Are they the problem? Yeah.
And also that the petition that was given out is two things about this petition. Number one is that I didn't see any of the board members out there signing, helping to sign the petition. Were they in the witness protection program? I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of which, I want to know exactly how many petition signatures Gene Hall has gotten. I want to know exactly how many petition signatures Cody Hamblin has gotten and any of these other board of directors. Before you come with smoke to our residents and open up your mouth and guilt them for not rallying to your cause, I want to know what you've done, because I've been out there collecting petition signatures. As a matter of fact, I probably collected 10% of the signatures you have. And that's despite the fact that you were out here telling residents not to sign a petition organized by the residents. So you have some nerve to come for our residents and to blame and to scapegoat us.
But also the petition that was made, it needed to be written. I think it needed to be written differently. Not written differently, but one should go to the state and one should have went to the federal government. Am I not right?
Yeah, I agree.
But you can't write the same thing on the same paper. So, and there's no demands. There's nothing. It's just some words that they put together. So it's not even an efficient petition,
Yeah.
because it should stop, it should go to different people, so it should be worded differently for whoever and addressed differently
Right.
to whoever it's going to go to. So just one petition having just been broad, and I don't even know who they're going to send this petition to,
Well, they're
or who
sending
is going to help them, because they're going to laugh at you, be like, haha.
just so people know who it's being sent to. It's being sent to two New York's U.S. senators. It's being sent to congressmen. It's being sent to the Queensborough president. It's being sent to our New York Assembly member, our state senator. It's just a laundry list of people it's being sent to. And I supported the petition and got signatures for this petition because I didn't want to put any artificial barriers between residents coming forward and uniting and doing joint work together to talk to each other about what's going on here, so that they could actually be part of the process of organizing and that they wouldn't be on the sidelines. But then when the response from the board of directors is to mock and to scold and to lecture the residents that they don't understand the importance of this petition. When the petition came out on March 10th of 2025, when you already approved the increases on January 27th of 2025. Talk about mismessaging. How are you going to get people to rally to the cause to fight against the carrying charge increase that you voted for? Not one amendment was put forward by any of these board members to say, we understand there may need to be an increase, but this, that, and the other thing must happen in order for this problem not to continue into the future. The Wells Fargo loan needs to be renegotiated. We need to have the state come in and refinance this loan and make it a public loan. No, the only proposal they put forward in one of the options was to appeal to the fascist Trump administration for a federal housing administration loan. Does anybody take a step back for a minute? Does anybody realize how intergalactically stupid it is to ask a white supremacist fascist government and tell them, hey, by the way, we're bankrupt. By the way, we're in financial distress. Come help us. Come rescue us. I can't imagine a more intergalactically stupid next step. And you wonder why they're asking residents questions about what should we do? Because these are the kind of ideas that pop into their head. They have absolutely no experience at putting any real pressure on our politicians to do anything for us. And that's why when they meet with the politicians, it's a long time before they meet again, and we don't get any action because the politicians don't sense that they know what they're talking about, or two, they're going to do anything to actually provide any consequences for these politicians when they don't do anything for us. So this is what has to change. And also what has to change is, quite frankly, our representatives, a lot of them need to go. Okay, our state assembly woman, Vivian Cook, is in the witness protection program. You couldn't find her with a health and safety welfare check. She's invisible in this community and has been for a long time. And she's in office since 1998. Unchallenged, repeatedly. That has to change. And if no one else will challenge her, I'll challenge her. We need working class residents of this community to start stepping up and fighting for leadership on a lot of these positions of power. We can no longer go along with people who we know for years and who faded into our memories because they're never here. Not acceptable. And you see it happening all over the country now. You see a lot of first-time candidates running for office. We have to see that again. And we also need to be honest with ourselves that this board of directors is just not getting it done. It's just not possible for 15 people to represent 25,000 residents. It's just not possible. It's dead on arrival. There's no way that a volunteer board that is not paid can adequately fight a full-time paid for-profit management company that has.
So, John, you think the board of directors should be paid?
Absolutely. It's insane not to pay the board of directors or anybody who's an elected democratic voice of the residents, because it's an invitation to corruption. Think about what Donald Trump would say if he dealt with a Congress that wasn't paid. What do you think would be the first fucking thing he would do? bribe every one of them, right? What does Elon Musk do? He wants to bribe anybody and everybody to carry water for him. It's the world we live in.
You got carry water.
Yeah, it's the world we live in. I mean, look at the people. Have you guys seen the cabinet meeting where they're all prostrating themselves before Elon Musk and telling them how they're going to put the full resources of the Department of Justice at his disposal to go after anybody who protests at a Tesla dealership and put him in jail for 20 years? We have to wake up. This is the world we live in, and we have to have an answer for that. And we need democratic institutions. And we had at least a start towards a democratic institution in terms of the House Congress, but that organization, we have to be honest with ourselves, has passed away. Okay, it was liquidated and voted out of existence at one point by the board of directors, and now it's run by a guy who's a part-time resident of Rochdale, lives in fucking Florida, and comes to the March 10th meeting and tells us, well, the damage is done. We're just going to have to pay the carrying charge increase and, build better organization and get involved, and we'll be able to fight in the future. And he gets booed by the residents, and he's like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm on your side.
Wait, 1 minute. But, in the over and over and over and over, I hear Gene Hall keep saying two things about, leadership is not about talking loudly, giving misinformation or misleading information. That's number one. Then she keep talking about the board member that made a little cuss thing going on.
Yeah,
but she didn't talk about the Congress guy, the House of Congress guy, when he was over there talking and he was being booed by the residents, because guess what? He was saying that it was a resident's fault. So she agreed with that part, because she never once mentioned about that part. She only mentioned, I think they was talking about you, John, but you was talking loudly. So that's what they was talking about. And they talk about the other lady that cussed from the thing. So, they had to make that look good.
What I want to know is, how can you equate what Lisa Stark did to residents being outraged by the management company representative coming to this meeting and straight up lying and gaslighting us and giving us half-truths and beating us in the head? People have a right. When you give me disrespect, I give you disrespect. I'm Italian. That's how I get down. Okay. If you show me contempt and disrespect and you constantly lie and gaslight and give me half-truths, then I'm not going to have respect for you. I'm sorry. Respect is earned. Okay.
But John, I don't think that people understand also that being disrespectful can be in a lot of manner. How can you raise the residents double digits, 22%, 29%, 44%? That is disrespectful. Okay. That is also disrespectful when someone say, oh, don't be mad. Don't, just be quietly mad. Be soft mad. That's disrespectful too. How could you come and ask me all these questions, a whole list of questions here in the paper, and said, oh, these are the questions I'm asking you. You are the leader. This is disrespectful to be asking me these questions, because first of all, you are the leader. I'm supposed to be asking you, how are we going to fix this, because you got us into this mess. That is being disrespectful. I think that people don't understand the terms of being disrespectful. There are plenty of ways that people can be disrespectful. Matter of fact, my feelings are hurt. How could you come and ask all these questions to the residents? You're supposed to be here saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is our plan. This is what we're going to do. I don't see no plan anywhere in here, except for the rinky-dinky meeting that they had with some people over there, Jamani Williams and all of that, which I can't even find them. So when you are asking these questions, you're supposed to be asking these questions. This is disrespectful. You're supposed to say, oh man, I'm a leader, and this is what I'm doing to have the carrying charges decrease, or making Rochdale more affordable, or whatever the situation is. It's a whole laundry list of questions about the residents. Nobody cares about this, and nobody's going to respect you. And you're breaking the fabric of the community and printing all this mess, carrying around. You're breaking the fabric of the community by asking these questions and looking not too good in your head. Because what are you talking about? The people have to respect you, and they have to say, oh my God, I respect what she's doing. I respect what this person is talking about. The board member did this, did that. They need to look up to you, not you looking down asking the questions. They have to look up to you because you are the leaders. We are not leaders. We are just paying carrying charges. So who are you talking about ripping the fabric of the community? The ripping of the fabric of the community is that sleepless night. You have me having sleepless nights and talking to myself.
Speaking of, to follow up on that, like the other question is, when do we have some self-respect? How does that work? How does this community stand 10 toes down and demand self-respect? Do we do that by continuing to bail out a management company that Gene Hall even admits has made massive, massive, terrible business decisions? The majority of the board, the super majority, 10 out of 15 members, say this management company has engaged in reckless, bad decision making, mismanagement. They need to go, and nothing happens. Nothing changes.
Sorry, John, did you turn the chat off?
No,
Somebody sent you a message. I don't know.
All right, I didn't turn the chat off. I don't know why it would be off. I was wondering why we weren't getting chat messages.
Something is happening because they're sending stuff on Facebook.
Okay, let me just see. Well, I didn't get any messages, but yeah, I don't know why the chat is off. We're gonna have to work on that and find out what's going on with the chat. This is our first time using StreamYard, so I don't even see anything in the private chat. But
I don't want to touch any button. There's a chat button there.
Where?
The bottom.
I don't see what you're seeing. In any case, we're working on a new multi-streaming platform. So please hang with us and have a little patience. Sorry about some of the quirks. But like my question is, if I can put out demands and I can say we need state aid in this way, that way, or another way to help solve the crisis of affordability here. If I can point to solutions, why is there nothing coming from the people who put themselves forward and campaigned? There's many of them bring their hands about how much money they had to spend to run for office, and then they get nothing but attacked. But what did you run for office for if you have no ideas? Why did you run for office if in the middle of a crisis you have not one concrete proposal to put forward as to how to solve this crisis, except for the residents to continue to pay outrageous and unaffordable carrying charges that will mean that many of those residents will no longer be able to afford to live here? How can that be the only solution? That's a lack of imagination that does not inspire confidence. You wonder why people are not rallying to the cause and seeing you as seriously fighting for them. Well, take a look around, man. Where you been? March 10th, you want to put out a petition? March 10th, a month and a half after you already approved the carrying charge increases, and you wonder why people won't believe you. You have to walk how you talk. It doesn't work that way. You're not going to inspire confidence when you're not actually targeting the main causes of our problem. And we all know that's the management company, and we all know it's the debt, and you have not one concrete thing to say ever about how to solve that problem. And that's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
But it's the debt. It's the debt that's weighing us down. That Wells Fargo loan is weighing you down, and the water bill and all of that. It's not, and you could come because in the paper, because all our information that we get, they keep saying in this paper that we're putting out misinformation. But we're getting the information from the bulletin, or when they have a meeting. That's where we're getting this information from. Yeah. So what misinformation? You have to say in lies and lies and lies. You have to say, what exactly are we lying about? What exactly are we? The next time you put a bulletin out, you put in here what people are lying about, exactly what it is that people are lying about. Because as I said, you can't explain away the debt. How are you possibly going to explain away the debt? Okay, so when you put away and said, this is how we're going to pay the debt off, that's when you can explain the debt off. because you can't explain how we got the debt. No matter what you're going to say, you can't explain it, that people are not going to ask questions. And you can't wave a magic finger and then the debt is just going to be wiped away. That debt took years to come. And it's how are you going to fix it? And once that debt is gone, then we won't have to pay the carrying charges that high. The carrying charges will not be that high.
Yeah.
Of course, regular inflation, you pay regular inflation. But the problem is that we're paying that debt that we didn't get ourselves into.
Well, the other thing too is that like they argue, oh, our insurance went up. You don't think your insurance goes up higher when you have massive amounts of hundreds of millions of dollars in debt at high rates of interest? You don't think that affects your insurance? You don't think when you're sued for racial discrimination by employees, when you pay out settlements of those lawsuits, and we don't have that information
because you lost
but
that
somebody
case,
does.
Right? You lost the case, so that's why you have to pay it out.
Well, somebody has that information. Somebody knows how many times Rochdale was sued and how many times they paid out payments to people. And that affects your credit worthiness. It affects the rate you pay on insurance. It affects everything. And aside from which, we want to talk about the cost of living. The cost of living in New York City is 4.2%. 4.2% a year is the rate of increase on everything. Everything's included in that. Yet, somehow the rate of increase for Rochdale is 22% for our residents. How does that work?
Or maybe 44%.
Or 44%, sorry. But, it's not making sense because it doesn't make sense, okay? We didn't make the decisions to dig our own grave. The board of directors over many years, over many different slates, there were the two different slates that were in charge, right? They stood by and allowed the management company to dig our grave. And let me just show you how they knew exactly what was going to happen based on the rhetoric being put forward by Marion Scott. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go in the Wayback Machine and look at what Marion Scott said at the time when we got into this debt. So where is it here? Marion Scott. Okay. So this is a screenshot. Okay. Can you see that any?
No, it's just very, very tiny.
Is it any better?
No, it's not.
All right. Anyway. All right. I'm just going to read some of this. Okay. Because it really is astounding the rhetoric that Marion Scott gave to con people into this outrageous loan. So what they said was they had rehabilitation of the shopping center, community center, in addition to repaving and expansion of 6 parking lots, upgrading the emergency generators. They pointed to all the high efficiency boilers, and they pointed to how they were able to do all of this. In all cases, we were able to leverage other people's money to get the necessary work done while keeping Rochdale affordable, a philosophy we continue to subscribe to today. I won't bore you with the details of every project slated in the pending $195 million recapitalization. However, the replacement of convectors in every unit, repaving and or reconfiguring parking lots not previously done to add much needed parking, and the addition of security cameras site-wide supports my assertion that this management team is prepared to meet the current and future needs for Rochdale villagers. Mastering the fundamentals. Every one of these projects is funded by the housing company, which is sustained by your money, as Rochdale does not receive any government aid or subsidies. Shareholder carrying charges is the vitality of a property. Our rent collection policy is administered evenly and across the board in fairness to everyone. And the lies go on and on and on. And so
John, So the convectors was approved under Marion Scott.
In 2019, yeah. And what happened to those convectors, by the way? From what I understand, they're in storage somewhere. And they were never used.
So how did we get the money to get these new ones?
I don't know. They found $31 million more to give to Genesis. And how come Genesis is the only contractor we see that seems to be able to do any kind of construction project here at Rochdale? And how come Genesis was fired for the washing machine contract because they were inept in terms of their current functioning of managing the washing machines. So much so that they went out and got a separate company, Hercules, to handle that contract. But yet, every other contract still continues to go to Genesis Construction.
Okay, so one more thing. So in 2019, sorry to cut you off. So in 2019, they took money from that 190 something million dollar to do the convectors.
Yeah, to purchase convectors that they never installed.
And I wonder how much those cost.
Well, I would assume it's somewhere in the millions of tens of millions of dollars if we're paying $31 million now. So it's
And
got to be
then and
somewhere in
then
that.
now we bought some more here.
Yeah.
And I want to bring it also. There was a time where they had some kitchen. Like they had bought all new, the kitchen cabinets. They had bought a whole bunch of kitchen cabinets and they were remodeling them in people's house. And I heard that, well, word of the block was like they threw those out outside. They all had to go in the garbage. So, that's waste of money. They asked how much people had um those new their kitchen upgraded, because I heard most of that went in the garbage. So the waste of money, and these are just the things that we hear about. What about the things that we don't? How much millions of dollars have gone into the garbage? So you take this money and then you do all these projects and it's just a waste, just go down the garbage. And then now you have Rochdale, the residents, to pay back this money. And most of the material and the things that you bought went down the garbage. You're talking about vendors and paying the vendors, and when you buy these things, they're either in a warehouse or they get thrown in the garbage, because that's
Yeah.
what was said.
But Adena, like you said, this is just the things that we know about. If
Yeah.
you're on the board of directors, you're in a much better position to know where all the bodies are buried, where all the waste and corruption is. And the whole point of you being on that board, especially if you ran as somebody who's going to hold the management company accountable and ran outright telling people you didn't want them to be here, you're in a much better position to be able to factually expose them and hold them accountable. So where is it? Not only that, you're also in a position to provide real democratic accountability to this institution. This is supposed to be a Mitchell-Lama founded on the principles of Mitchell-Lama movement that said one person, one vote. It's a byproduct of the civil rights movement. People fought and occupied streets down here to force integration, to force this community to actually live up to affordability. And yet you have elected members of your board of directors who want our votes every year, but yet only 5,820 residents can vote in any of these elections. Only 5,820 out of 25,000 residents can run for office. So you have the supermajority since 2022, 10 votes to 5, and not one of you can raise a motion to amend the bylaws to make this a truly democratically functioning Mitchell-Lama cooperative. Even on the board of directors, just with those 15 members representing 25,000, which, as I said before, it can't work. It's impossible that it can work the way it's currently constructed. But even just on the basis of democracy, not one of you will stand for the democratic rights of over 2/3, if not 3/4 of the residents here who have absolutely no say at all in how this institution is governed. That's disgraceful. That's an abdication of your duty. It is disqualifying. Don't come to me and ask for my vote if you cannot enforce the democratic rights of the residents here. Don't lecture the residents about, oh, we're not doing enough, when you sideline and keep people out of any ability to actually mobilize any of their power as residents here. We don't got time for it. Don't got time to entertain your fifis and your hurt feelings.
But also, John,
Yeah.
even with the petition going around, management, board of directors, they have everyone email. So when we did our petition, which they beat down to ground and didn't want no part of because they said it was misinformation, they just use that word misinformation. They really can't tell you what part of that is a misinformation. So they didn't want no part of us. But with that thing, we had a scan. So all you had to do was scan it and you had the Q code.
Sure.
So what I'm saying is, why did you have to have residents walk around? This is like AI is here. Like, use intelligence and
Technology.
say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Send a massive things out. If you really wanted to, you could have sent a massive email out asking the residents of how to do it.
You could
And
have
I
put the
understand
petition, Nina. You could have put the petition on their fucking website. They have a website you have to log in and only residents can gain access to. You could have put the petition on the website. You know how many votes, how many signatures you would have had by now? No matter how toothless the petition is. People would have signed if you put it on the website. Oh, and that's another problem. The website's malfunctioning and you can't get people their payments processed. Like it's hit or miss whether you can get your payments processed. If we functioned on a functional basis that actually restored faith that somebody professional is handling the everyday running of this institution, it would be a lot easier to organize people. And you wonder why people won't rush out to spend their time after work collecting petition signatures, because they don't think you're serious. And everything that you do is communicating that you're not serious. Is communicating that you don't have any answers. Is communicating that you got a lot of mixed messages. Yeah, we really feel the pain of the residents, but we still voted for the increase. We didn't raise any alternate strategy at all, but we feel your pain. And we, of course, it's unfortunate and it's terrible that you have to pay more, and we're going to do better in the future. Does that inspire confidence?
Oh yeah, and we shouldn't be mad. Oh, you should be mad, but you should be mad quietly. And then we all should like have a seance, and we all should just sit down and hold hands and then sing kumbaya.
Yeah. Well, when you speak softly, they interrupt you, steal your time, and silence you, and then make you look like you're disrupting the meeting.
Yeah, but if you're having a meeting and only 3 people can talk, is it 3 or like 5 people?
It's like 4 or 5 people out of 25,000 residents or 400 people that are on the call. Yeah.
Yeah, so 400 people and maybe 5 people talk for 3 minutes, and then they go to sleep for 15 minutes.
So then when you speak loud, you're a wolf in sheep's clothing and you're being destructive and you're destroying the fabric of the community. When we don't participate, we're lazy and we don't want to be involved. When we do participate, then we're too loud and we're engaging in conspiracy theories. You guys really got to have a team huddle and get together and get your talking points together, because you keep shifting.
But the thing about it is, like, so is this going to be a conspiracy when the bill comes? Like when you see your new carrying charges and it said $300-400 more, is that like a conspiracy? So we're gonna just throw it in the garbage because that's probably gonna be a conspiracy too.
Yeah.
No.
But in any case, people want to play their games and they want to defend their reputations. And I don't got time for people's egos, and I don't got time for your reputation. Your reputation is built on what you do. Your reputation is built on your ability to organize people to fight for better. Your reputation is built on, do you have self-respect and do you demand self-respect? And I just don't see it on any level, certainly not from the management company, and definitely not from those who are in elected position to organize the struggles that we need to defend ourselves. So you ask why we start a podcast, why we start a petition, why we start a Facebook group, because we are looking to organize where no organization is being provided. And if you won't engage in a collective self-defense, I'm not going to sit here and get my ass kicked and be attacked and be the blood donor of choice for financial parasites and sit on my ass and do nothing. Maybe that's cute for you, but it's not cute for me. Even my puppy knows better than that, right? Right, Chewy? Yeah. Tell him. When you're attacked, you fight back, right? Right, Chewy? Yeah. Okay.
So we got to say bye-bye.
All right. Before we say goodbye, I want to let people know about 2 very important events that are coming up. Then I'm going to put them as comments in the Facebook and the YouTube chats. One of them is a New York City retirees mayoral debate that's going on this Thursday, April 17th, between 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. It's at the Proshansky Auditorium at the CUNY Graduate Center, 365 Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. It's on 40 near 42nd Street. So that's Thursday, April 17th, 2025, 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. It's at the Proshansky Auditorium at the CUNY Graduate Center, 365 Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. It's near 42nd Street. Present at that debate will be candidates in the New York City mayoral election. And it's important that residents, if at all possible, come after work and ask questions and demand that these candidates do what they can to actually make Rochdale affordable and to provide and to fight for the state funding that we need to refinance this predatory, toxic, racist debt. Another event that's coming up soon is an event called the Road to Gracie Mansion. It's the New York City mayoral race of 2025. It's at the Museum of the City of New York, and present there are going to be media members. Errol Lewis, a political anchor from Spectrum News New York 1, Dana Rubenstein, a reporter from the New York Times, and Bridget Bergen, a senior reporter of WNYC Radio. Now, that event is Thursday, April 24th at 7 p.m. And I will put the details of that in the comments on the Facebook and the YouTube podcast links. So these are two important opportunities for residents to be heard. They're not the only opportunities. We're also speaking with Zoran Mamdani's campaign. I'm in contact with his communication director, Mr. Epstein, and I'm also in contact with Jumaane Williams' office, who wants to schedule and actually suggested meeting privately with residents. And then also both campaigns have talked about being on our podcast to talk to a wider audience. Now, the holding pattern that we're facing right now has a lot to do with the state budget process, which, if you remember, the state budget was passed on April 19th and 20th of last year. So this is the crunch time for the state budget process. And I know Zoran, for example, has to take the Amtrak back and forth up to Albany on a regular basis to be at a lot of these negotiations and hearings. And I'm sure Jumani's involved very heavily in the city budget process, which is ongoing right now as well. So we should be getting somewhere on scheduling those events shortly. We thank people for your patience in us scheduling that, but we will definitely let you know as soon as that happens. And we're also going to be reaching out to the state housing chair, the state Senate housing chair, who was proposed by Jumaane Williams' office as a next step. The housing committee director, his name is Brian Kavanaugh, and his office number is 518-455-2625. That's his Albany office. He's the housing chair of the state Senate. We're also reaching out to Cordell Clare and Emily Gallagher. Cordell Clare is a New York State senator, and Emily Gallagher is a New York State Assembly person. And they are both the sponsors and authors of the Mitchell-Lama 2.0 bill that is currently being debated in the state Senate and the state Assembly. And these are important contacts for Rochdale to be able to be in contact with people who are fighting to expand Mitchell-Lama. So people who are already on record as wanting to expand Mitchell-Lama are clearly going to be on board with keeping Mitchell-Lama affordable and providing the kind of rehabilitation and the funding we need to rehabilitate 60-year-old buildings and do all the things that they say we need to do. So we'd like to thank everybody for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking part of your Sunday to be with us. Get it, Adena, I'm sorry. Say your
That's it,
goodbyes.
thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your time. And we're going to be broadcasting pretty much every 2 weeks. But as I said, we have events coming up with political figures that may make it that we do it more often than on a bi-weekly basis. But we will let residents know as soon as we get in contact with these elected officials. Thank you so much for your time. Everybody have a great night. Bye.